Good afternoon. My name is Angelica Palma,
And Sofia Sotelo.
and our presentation is going to be on Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the classrooms.
Kendra Cherry, in her article Motivation Psychological Factors That Guide Behavior 2017, defined motivation as the process that initiates, guides, and maintains goal oriented behaviors.
Abraham Maslow was the person who was given credit for the hierarchy of needs. He basically discusses in his theory that there are five essential needs that humans strive to obtain, beginning with the most basic, which is the physiological needs, which comprise of, water, food, and everything that's essential for survival, to the most complex needs, which is the self-actualization needs, which has to do with reaching a human's full potential. There are five tiers in the hierarchy of needs that Maslow created. The first one is the physiological needs. The second tier is the safety needs. The third tier is the tier of belonging. The fourth tier is the esteem tier, which is subdivided into a higher and a lower form of esteem. And the last tier is the tier of self-actualization. Maslow's hierarchy of needs ties into the classrooms in two different ways. The first one, as a teacher, we must be empathetic of the fact that many of our students are entering our classrooms without their basic needs being met, and also we can use it as a tool in teaching students how to identify character, motivation, and literature.
Many times in the classroom, we lose sight of ensuring that the classroom should be student-focused environment rather than teacher-centered. As a classroom teacher, we must be aware of factors and needs which our students are not being fulfilled in and how it will be detrimental in their learning.
Teaching Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the classroom, you can actually attribute it to also, different characters, motivation, and literature. What we've decided to go ahead and do is use famous stories from Dr. Seuss, such as the Lorax, Yertle the Turtle, and the Sleep Book, and kind of pull out the character's motivation based on the hierarchy of needs. At the bottom of the hierarchy are the physiological needs. These needs are fundamental and necessary for survival, and they include water, air, sleep, and food. These basic needs need to be met by the learners, or they will not be able to focus on learning.
The physiological needs of Dr. Seuss's Sleep Book is when the character is motivated by sleep.
The next step on the hierarchy is safety or security needs, which includes financial security, protection against fear, harm, illness, a sense of law and order, and shelter, free from any toxic or harmful material. Learners should feel emotionally safe within their learning environment.
The security needs of Dr. Seuss's book, The Lorax, is when the character's motivation is safety because he wants to ensure that his home is free of pollution and is safe for the animals which live in the area.
The next tier on the hierarchy of needs is the tier of belonging or social needs. Humans have a desire to feel as they belong and are accepted by their peers. Maslow also noted that in the absence of being accepted, people may become vulnerable to loneliness, depression, and anxiety.
The social needs in Dr. Seuss's book, The Snitches, the character is motivated by being accepted by his peers.
The next tier is the tier of esteem needs. Maslow defined it with two different forms of esteem, a lower one and a higher one. The lower one being the need to have the respect of others. The higher form of esteem being the respect of self. In other words, esteem is just the need for humans to feel respected.
In the esteem need, from Dr. Seuss's book, Gertrude McFuzz, the book demonstrates the motivational need of esteem and higher level esteem because Gertrude learns to accept herself for who she is.
The highest part of the hierarchy of needs is the need of self-actualization. Self-actualization is the meeting of each individual person's fullest potential. This tier is based on the individual and is very personal, and not every person will reach their full potential. Therefore, this need will not be met by everyone.
Self-actualization need. In Dr. Seuss's book Yertle the Turtle, it demonstrates self-actualization because Yertle's other needs have been met and he is trying to be self-actualized and meets his individual potential.
One thing to remember is that Maslow's hierarchy of need is still a theory. It is not conclusive as scientific fact because it's very hard to track human behavior because it's not constant. Each individual is motivated by their own desires, and therefore it would be really hard to, test this as scientific fact.
Even though we try our best, it is important as teachers to be effective in our lessons. So one last reminder, in teaching you can't do the Bloom stuff until you take care of the Maslow stuff.
And be aware of what students are bringing into the classroom.